So in our last video, we left off with just streaming live quotes from crypto and from stocks. And I'm going to show you guys that right now. If we run Python main, you're going to see we're going to stream SPY quotes. And it looks great, but it's not very usable in this format. And it doesn't really do anything right now. It's just streaming live data. However, in this video, we're going to implement the following. In this video, we're implementing this following strategy that I call Strategy 1. And we're going to programmatically buy stocks given a set number of conditions. So just to show you guys how this works, as you can see, my portfolio right now currently has no open positions. The last position that was executed was 14 minutes ago. And all I'm going to do now is just run this bot to see what happens. So as you can see, something's going on here. We got some exceptions. However, something's happening. And boom, we programmatically bought $4,000 worth of SPY in less than a second, given our conditions that we set forth. And you can see the position actually is fluctuating because it's automatically buying and selling given certain conditions. So if we refresh the page again, you can see now it's down to $81. It just keeps buying and selling programmatically. Refresh it again. Now it's back up to 2,500. It did this all in a few seconds. I'm going to show you guys exactly how I implemented this right now. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to reformat some of the data coming in to make it more usable and cleaner to look at. So if we actually run it right now, the data is coming in a raw format, and it includes some information that we don't actually need. And it's kind of unreadable. It's not very clear what's going on. There's a lot of stuff going on. But what we're going to do now is we're going to create something called a data struct. Basically a dictionary where we can just pull out the data that we want to use. So I'm going to call this data struct and then pull out the information from the raw data that I need to use and that I want to see clearly. So to start off, we want to do symbol equals data dot symbol. So you can see here, that is part of the raw data, so you could just access it by doing dot symbol, since this is also a dictionary coming in. Next, we want to see the bid price. Then we want to see the bid size. The bid size, and we want to do the same thing for the ask price and the ask size. So we're going to do ask price data.ask price and then ask size data.ask size. So if we save that, we clear the screen and we run it again, we're going to see that now this is going to come in a much more, sorry about that. We're going to actually print the data struct, not the raw data. So we put this here so we could actually print the formatted data struct. So if we run Python now, we're going to see that it's going to come in a much more usable format. This is all the information that I need right now. I don't even need the timestamp because that's going to be, we're going to use that later. Right now, I just want to see the data in a more usable format, and this is a lot cleaner than what we were getting before. All right, so now that we have the data in a much more usable format, the next thing we want to do is create a new file and set some trading rules for our bot. Our bot is going to trade based on a set of rules that we set in place, and we're going to define them in a centralized place so that if we want to change the rules, we don't have to go into the strategy and into the function calls to change the rules. We could do it all from a centralized place. And we're going to make this really simple. We're going to create a new file called rules. Rules.py to be exact, because it's going to be a Python file. And then in here, we're just going to create a new dictionary called trading rules. Inside of this dictionary, we're going to define a set of rules that we want our bot to follow when it buys and it sells programmatically. The first couple rules that we want to define are the minimum gain that we want to extract from every position, and the maximum loss that we're willing to take from every position. So to do that, we're gonna call this minimum gain, and we're gonna set our minimum gain right now at 5. You're gonna see why I'm doing whole numbers and not percentages. And finally, minimum or maximum loss. I'm gonna set this at 4. So these are gonna be the first 2 rules that we're defining. Excuse me. Make these commas. So just to put a note here, 5% minimum gain before we close position. Here, 5% maximum, 4% maximum loss for the position. These parameters are going to ensure that we have some risk strategies or risk mitigation in place so that the bot doesn't just run off a position forever, or that it doesn't leave any money on the table in the case of the minimum gain. So in the interest of time, I'm going to copy and paste a few more rules that we should definitely be following, and I'm going to explain those right now. So the rules are max position allocation, meaning what's the max amount of our portfolio that we want to allocate to any specific position, and I'm going to set that at 5%. So no position can be more than 5% of your entire portfolio value. And then we have the minimum position nominal, minimum buy, and minimum sell. So minimum position nominal means that if a position were to be less than $1,000, then we don't buy it. So we want every position, every trade that we make to be at least $1,000 in size, nominal size. Finally, the minimum buy and sell difference. This is so the bot doesn't just buy and sell when there's a penny more or a penny less than our set range. We want it to buy and sell with at least $200 in range to spare, so that it's not constantly buying and selling when the price of the security changes a penny here or a penny there. That's why we have these 2 rules in place, and you'll see why we have to have these as we implement our buy and sell strategies. So now that we have our trading rules in place that our bot has to follow, and we have our data in a usable format that's much easier to ingest, we're gonna actually start implementing the trading functionality of this bot. So the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna go to the documentation, Alpaca markets, and we're gonna go to the trading section. If you see here, we will be paper trading, so this is important. But the first thing we gotta do is we gotta import the trading client and instantiate a trading client in our bot. So just copy and paste that there, save that, and then we need to actually instantiate a trading client to use in our bot. So you can copy and paste that there as well. Now we obviously have to change these 2 values because our API keys are being pulled from our .env file. So copy and paste that there, and copy and paste this one from here as well. Copy, and this is coming from our stream client, so it's the same exact API keys they use to stream data. You're going to use it to trade. Cool. So we have an instantiation of a trading client. That's great. And if we look further down, we scroll down, we're going to see how to actually create a market order in Alpaca. And we're going to be using market orders for the time being because limit orders require a little bit more logic. So for this basic trading bot, it's going to be using market orders. So the next thing we want to do is we want to create a new file called strategy1.py. And in this file, we want to grab the things that we need to actually start trading. If we go to the documentation, we can literally just grab all of this stuff from this example, paste it here, and we're actually going to remove trading client because we're not instantiating the trading client in our strategy. We're doing that in the main.py file, so we can remove this. And all of this looks good. The next thing we want to import is actually our trading rules, because remember, we have our rules, and our rules are going to define how our trading client actually trades. So we're going to do from rules import trading rules. Now we're going to define a helper function that's going to allow us to reformat some of the data that we're going to get from our trading client, mainly the following. So part of this bot looks at all of our currently open positions. And you can see here, to get all your positions, all you have to do is call use the trading client and call the get all positions function. However, the problem with this function is that it comes in as a list of positions rather than a map of positions. So we're going to create a helper function really quickly to transform this list of positions to a map of positions. So we're going to do the following. We're going to define a function called getAllPositionsDict dictionary, and we're going to pass it our trading client to it. Then we're going to just grab the positions as we would normally, and it's going to come in as a list. That's why we're calling this right here getAllPositionsList. Then we're going to define an empty dictionary called allPositionsDictionary. After that, we're going to loop through all the positions in the list, and we're going to set the symbol as the key in our dictionary, and all the position information as the value. Finally, we're going to return the dictionary so that we could use a dictionary instead of having to loop through all of our positions inside of our trading strategies. Now that we have our helper function that's going to allow us to transform some of that positional data, we're going to actually create our first buy trading strategy. So we're going to call this buy strategy 1. We're going to keep this kind of in accord with our file name. That's why I'm calling it buy strategy 1, because our file is called strategy 1. But again, you could call this whatever you want. And it's going to take in our data struct and our trading client that we created in our main.py files. Then we're going to get all our account data. This is going to be useful because we need to know what our portfolio value is, and you get that by calling the getAccountData function. And here is our position allocation. As you guys remember, we want to just do 5% of our max portfolio value as the max position. If we go back to our rules, you'll see that we have it set here as 5% of portfolio value is our max position allocation. So the math here is you get the portfolio value, and this is going to come in as a string, so you got to cast it as a float. And then you multiply that by your trading rules max position allocation so that you get 5% of the portfolio value, and then you round the entire value to 2 decimal places. Moving on, we're going to also get our positions as a dictionary. Like we mentioned earlier, we don't want to use the list that comes in. We want to use a map so that it's a lot easier to work with. Now we're going to actually start defining the strategy. So the first thing we want to check in this if statement is this ticker already in our portfolio? If it is in our portfolio, then we got to check a few other things. First off, the market value. You can get the market value of any position in your portfolio by first off checking if that symbol is in the positions, right? And then you're gonna go into the dictionary and grab the market value based on the ticker that you're currently working on. Once you have the market value, we're gonna check, is the market value greater than or equal to our position allocation? Meaning, is it greater than or equal to 5% of our portfolio value? If it is, if the value meets or exceeds the 5% rule that we set right here, then we're going to return none. I mean, we're not going to trade. We're not going to do anything. We're just going to return and do nothing. Moving forward, if the market value is actually less than the position allocation, so meaning if there is a difference between the position allocation and the market value, and if that difference is greater than or equal to our minimum buy difference, meaning if it's at least $200, if that difference is at least $200, then we're going to execute a market buy order, meaning we want to top off the difference between our position allocation, the 5%, and our current market value. So to do that, we're going to create a market order using the trading API. So you can see here, to create a market order, you're just going to you're going to use the market order request function or object that we pulled in from trading. and we just got to fill in the values relevant to our position. So in this case, we're going to make the symbol be the current symbol that we're working on, current ticker that we're working on. The notional is going to be the position allocation minus the market value, because we just want to buy that difference. It's going to be, the side is going to be buy because we're buying. And we want this to be a day order. We don't want it to be good to close because maybe things change after hours. So we just want to execute this position right now. Once you have this data for the position, you could actually call the trading client.submit order function and provide this market data object or market data object into this order data field. And that's going to actually execute market order using the market data that we define here. Now let's assume that the ticker is not in our portfolio. If the ticker is not in the portfolio and we want to have it in our portfolio, which is a default behavior that we're implemented here, this is just going to execute a market order for that symbol, and it's just going to do the entire position allocation, which is going to be 5% as we define, and then it's going to return the market order information. Finally, let's say these three conditions are not met, then we just return none and we do nothing. Finally, to tie this all together, we actually have to call our strategy one and import it to our main.py file so that our trading client can actually execute trades. If you don't call this function, then it's not going to do anything. We need to call this inside of our asynchronous handler function. So to do that, we first gotta import our strategy. So from strategy one, import by strategy one. That's gonna import the function that we define in strategy one. And here in our asynchronous function, we're gonna do trade result equals to by strategy one. And remember, we gotta give this our data struct. We gotta provide our data struct, and we also gotta provide our trading client that we created here. Finally, to just print it out in our terminal, we're gonna do if trade result trade results. If there is a trade result, we're gonna print whatever came back from that. So as a quick call out, you might run into an error if you're accessing your data struct by doing dot notation. So we're going to quickly change that to dot symbol to using bracket notation like this. Brackets, parentheses, symbol. Save that. And now our trading bot should be good to go. We're going to go and actually, first we're going to go to our account. We're going to see that, I'm going to refresh that. We have no open positions right now, and we're gonna run our trading bot to see if it's working as intended. So we're gonna do python main.py, and as you can see here, we got some order information coming in, meaning that we did indeed execute some orders. As you can see now, we have quantity of 2, but if we refresh this page, there's actually gonna be much more in there. There's actually $11,000 worth of SPY in our account. One thing you're going to notice is that $11,000 is a lot more than 5% of $50,000. That should be actually around $2,500. But to keep that in line, we got to execute the proper sell strategy to keep things balanced. But for this video, we're going to keep it at that. We executed our buy strategy. So now, even if I cancel all open orders and I liquidate this position, I sell everything, automatically it'll start buying again because we have our trading bot running, and it's automatically going to continue to buy because we want to own SPY. And you see here that the amount that it's going to buy is going to fluctuate. Last time it was 10,000, now it's 5,000 because we don't have that sell. We don't have the bot selling to kind of keep things in line. But if you guys enjoyed this video, make sure to subscribe and to look out for the next one where we're going to implement the sell strategy, which is going to keep things level and keep things in line and actually meet our parameters that we set in our trading rules. So until the next one.